Yeah, I lived in Newtonville, which was like right along the highway, and right next to Nonantum, which was all those Irish and Italian kids. And so that's who I went to junior high school with, and mostly high school. But there was a lot of really terrifying kids. There's a lot of scary kids.
Well, blue-collar communities, like I was in Upper Falls.
Yeah.
In Newton, Upper Falls, there was a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
Everybody would hang out by Echo Bridge. You remember Echo Bridge?
Yeah, sure.
That's where my house was.
Okay.
My house was right next to Echo Bridge.
Yeah, Newton had a lot of like Cabot. I went to Cabot School, elementary school, and Cabot Park was a hang. And to cross Cabot Park, sometimes you'd get these guys that would just converge on you, and they would play games with you, and you didn't know what was going on.
Right.
Like, hey, kid, come here. And then all of a sudden you're in the middle of the park, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
I remember once as kids, he said he had $100 bill for some reason, and he said, we're going to play this game, and they're all surrounding me, and he puts the $100 bill on my hand, and he gives me a cigarette, and he says, if you can burn a hole in his head all the way through, I'll give you the $100 bill. I was like, I don't want to do it. And
Jesus Christ.
No, try it. And I was trying to do it, and it hurt like fuck. And I don't remember how that ended. Like, I just remember that terrifying, and they're all staring at me. And one time, some kids had a cup of puke. It was like a coffee cup with puke. And he said, can you drink this whole thing? If you drink this whole thing, we'll give you a beer. That was that thing.
Oh, God. Drink the puke and I'll give you a beer.
Yeah. These guys just scared me. And then when I grew up, I hung out with those kids and would smoke cigarettes. That's where I learned to smoke cigarettes in that park. And I drank my first beer in that park. But there was kids. There was a kid named Mike who was the toughest kid in Newton. He was just a fucking terrifying person. And there was one point where this kid named David Russell, his family lived in Boston. Remember, I don't know if you guys had Metco kids, the kids that were bused from Boston into our schools. All black kids from Boston who were bused into our school system. It wasn't part of that bossing Boston thing. It was out to the suburbs.
Right.
And these were kids that got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to school. You know, they were living a particular life and coming out to this suburb. And some of them were my friends. One of them was Ronnie DeVoe of Belle Biv DeVoe.
No shit.
Yeah, I went to high school with him.
Wow.
And I knew him since like junior high school through high school. He was a nice kid. And when he was in the first edition or new edition, they used to come get him in a limousine. And people would shout racist shit at the Bobby Brown. All these guys would be in the limousine.
In high school?
It was so racist. It was so crazy. Yes.
Whoa.
So David Russell was a Medco kid, and his family's house burnt down in Boston. And a family in Newton, actually friends of mine, they had a rental unit, and they let the Russells live there. So it was like, there's a black family living in Newtonville. It's a big deal. And everyone was into, because it was all liberal teachers. Everybody was into, like, we're hosting this family because they lost their home. So all of a sudden, David Russell's living in Newton. He's not just going to school there. And one day, Mike and his group confront David Russell in the park, and they go, hey, listen, we're really happy you're here. We want to show you this bench right here. This is your bench. And they had literally painted it black. And they painted one of the swings black. They said, this is the Russell swing. This is the Russell bench. You can use them anytime you want.
Whoa.
And I remember I heard that story, and I went to the park that day, and there was a black bench and a black swing. And they were there. I mean, I remember I went back when I was in my 20s, and it was still a little
kind of black.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Newton, Massachusetts. It's crazy.